So after 6 years of living in Dallas, I have seen so many highs and lows. Today, I'm going to share my personal journey, some of the city's excitement and some of the city's not so excitement, meaning really its challenges, some of its growth, and my thoughts on whether it's still a good place to call home. Hi, I'm Tiffany, and I am a real estate expert specializing in Frisco and all of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. I'm a top 1% realtor, and I've closed over $200 million in homes. Let's start with the reality of living in Dallas, the good, the bad, and what's changing over time. So when thinking about living in downtown Dallas, you are going to have a higher crime rate. We have seen lots of growth in Dallas, but also lots of homeless and transient. We have public transportation. We have a bus line, we have a trolley line, we have a train line. And so when you're living closer to a downtown area, you are going to see more of the higher crimes. You know, when I lived here, my own personal journey is I had my car broken into multiple times, living in a gated garage. I had one of my cars entirely stolen. My best friend got held up at gunpoint to her chest outside of where she lived. And so it is higher crime rate. And that is every major downtown area in the entire United States. So Dallas isn't any different than downtown Chicago or downtown LA or all of the things that you would think of that comes with a downtown area. In fact, I don't know if you can hear it right now, but there's sirens going off. As far as walkability goes, a lot of people like that urban feel, and so you will get it down here. Maybe you are a young professional, or you are a newly married couple and you just kind of want the walkability to go to a coffee shop or go get a great lunch or live in an artsy area of town. Then, Dallas could provide that for you. But there's also really great suburbs that are going to offer that. For example, Frisco, which I'll show you guys later. But with Fields West coming to Frisco, you're going to have an urban area to walk to as well. And so that's something to think about. Okay, so with all of this growth in Dallas, is it still a good place to move or to live? In my opinion, it wasn't for me. So that's why I moved to Frisco. And I want to kind of go over a few reasons that really were helpful in choosing to move out of Dallas. First of all, property taxes are a huge motivator because in Dallas, you're looking at 2.3, almost 2.4% tax. That makes a big difference in how much you're paying for your house, because at least when you're buying a house, it's going to appreciate over time. Property taxes is just money you give away. It's kind of like HOA. That doesn't increase the value of your house paying that money. And so that was a big thing, is I'd rather get more house in Frisco and pay less tax than get a smaller house in Dallas and pay more taxes. So that was number one. Number two is crime rate. So as far as crime rate goes, obviously Frisco has been touted as a very safe city, and you can look on the different websites for crime rate compared to Dallas. Like I've said, anytime you get closer to an inner city, your crime rate's going to go up. It just is. I accidentally slept with my garage doors up, and I woke up the next morning and my garage door, the actual door was unlocked and my garage doors were up. And I thought, man, had I done that in Dallas, everything in my garage would be gone. But here in Frisco, I wouldn't do it every night, and I'm sure probably not going to do it again. But still, it warrants itself to the fact that we just live in a safer area. Another thing that really mattered was the schooling. And so in Dallas, a lot of people choose to send their kids to private school because DISD, it's not ranked super high. And so you'll end up spending money on private school because you want your kids to have a better education or a better teacher-student ratio or what have you. And so coming up to Frisco or any of the surrounding areas, you're going to have really, really stellar schools, and you're not going to have to go to private school unless you really want to. So that was another reason, was the schooling. And even if you don't have kids, you need to pay attention to school districts because it affects your resale values. Another reason that was really important to me is I wanted more community. And as far as, yes, you can walk everywhere in Dallas if you live in a community that's safe enough to do that. But I wanted to be able to get out and know my neighbors and build relationships and have a community. And so when you get more into the suburbs here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you're definitely going to have more community. For example, the HOA here in the Fields, they have a couple of events a week. that you can plug into and your kids can go to. And we just had a chocolate tasting night where they taught us how to make chocolate and let us taste a bunch of different types of chocolate and gave us wines. Not much better than mixing those two. But we have pool parties. They have a snow cone truck that comes out and makes snow cones for the kids, and just so much fun. But that's not necessarily something you're gonna get in downtown Dallas or Dallas proper. And then another reason why I decided to move out of Dallas was just newer homes and newer subdivisions. I wanted to have the ability to increase my equity and have it grow faster. Historically, we see 3 to 5% appreciation a year. But when you get into, you guys, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that you are gonna get into higher equity in a shorter amount of time when you get into a city that's developing. And so my overall financial plan isn't just to have 4 walls around me. It's that I'm hoping that that home will eventually work for me and either give me some good equity or give me the ability to rent long term. So that was a big factor that pulled me to the suburbs. Another reason why I decided that Dallas wasn't for me anymore is just an ever increasing homeless population. And don't get me wrong, I volunteer and I give to help the homeless, and I want to help produce infrastructure that will house them, but it inevitably makes it more dangerous as a female to walk around Dallas when you've got a larger homeless population. And you just don't see that in the suburbs, specifically because we don't have public transportation this far north. And so, and you tend to see more homeless population around public transportation because it's an easier way for them to get from point A to point B. So of course, Dallas is still a thriving city, but it just might not be the most appealing city for families or people that want home ownership and to build faster equity. So that's why I think looking into a suburb, specifically even a suburb in North Dallas, might fit you better and what your family's looking for. So Dallas definitely has its pros and cons. High property tax, crime, school challenges, they can all make it a tough place to live, but it's also growing and evolving. So if you're thinking about moving here, it's definitely important to know what you're getting into. I've always said you need to know the good and the bad. As a local real estate expert, I help people navigate Dallas and really find the best areas that will fit them and their lifestyle. If you're considering buying, selling, or just want to stay in the know about what's happening around the area, then subscribe to my channel, watch my videos, because I do deep dives into all things that you need to know about living in Dallas, Texas.